Hello everybody. The week before I went off to university, I sat down at breakfast with my father and asked him what his advice was regarding what I should study. Should I become a biologist? Should I get into the humanities? Should I go on to graduate school? What did he think? His answers were simple, yet they made a great deal of difference in not only my education but also the rest of my life. He told me that the very best thing that I could take away from an undergraduate education are three things. One, the ability to listen carefully to what other people are saying, to train oneself through self-exercise and also through watching the example of others who are good at this, to train oneself to not busy the mind with readying the next volley of attack in an argument or debate, but instead to carefully listen to what someone is saying, and then try to measure that against the proposition that they've made at the start, and then begin to work that into the overall theme of the discussion. So to try to withhold the emotions a little bit, and the ego that sometimes we feel like we're under attack in a discussion or a debate, and instead to listen carefully and to try to piece out what is being said and try to then place that in comparison against what is the topic at hand. A very, very difficult thing, an easy thing to say, a very, very difficult thing to do in practice. Excuse me, it's still sweat, it's still hot. The second thing he said was kind of the opposite. He said, not the opposite, but it was the complementary skill. It is basically to be able to communicate clearly, to then when you have an idea or a counter argument, you can try to learn to frame that in such a way that it is communicated well, succinctly, and in a way that is not offensive, if you can avoid being offensive and provoking the emotions in others. So basically to listen carefully and then to speak carefully. The third item was one that really surprised me because I'd never heard anybody ever talk about this as a skill. He said it's important to learn the art of analogy, to use example to help to illustrate our ideas and to ease the understanding in others of a complex concept. He said sometimes difficult ideas can be broken down into bite-sized bits and illustrated through example. Sorry about the noise. Illustrated through example in such a way that it can be very readily understood. He said this is a skill that when mastered can really help with the first and the second one, because it helps the person you're talking to listen carefully to what you're saying if you're offering them an interesting analogy, and it helps you in order to be able to speak more clearly and get your ideas across. So I went off with university with those 3 points: to listen carefully, to speak carefully, and to learn to use analogy as the goals, the overarching goals of my undergraduate education. Had a great influence on me. I wound up not embarking on the course of biology, but instead turning towards the field of speech communication, the art of human communication, as my discipline, and it has made a great deal of difference. Thank you, Dad, for giving me these wonderful, large-scale ideas that have had an influence not only on my education or in career, but also on family, life, love, thinking, the whole works. I miss you greatly, Dad, and I hope that this information is helpful to others. Take care, everybody.